Recording in progress. So now I have to watch what I'm going to say. Someone might hear it and get ruffled or upset. That seems to be the theme. If you're a light worker and you see something and you just know, it's not right. You know that, and that also that people have their right, their sovereignty to keep doing the same things, but it's hard, and that's other people affecting us with what we want to say, especially when we're receiving it from spirit. It's almost like a knot forms, and then we have to refer back to the greatest spiritual teachers of all time. Forgive them, for they know not what they do, and have full compassion for people in their process and in their timing. So I'm Jan Jorgensen here, Be the Light Meditations every Wednesday morning. It's always free, Sound and Light Healing Arts. And I've been thinking a lot about, even as children are to be seen and not heard, is pretty much what happened in our family. Well, there was 8 children. What a ruckus it got to be. So we knew it was too much for the male in our house, and he would just go out to dinner by himself. So these messages that we get about our safety for speaking up the truth, and now that you're a light worker, your truth is important. And sometimes it comes forward like a heralding trumpet of, actually, I think this is right and this could work. It takes a lot of courage. Why? Because we are working through all the times as a child we were told, who are you to have anything to add in? Or if you ever say that again, this will happen to you. Or if you ever tell this bad abuse thing that happened to you, something horrific will happen to the people that you love. So as light workers, we have all these unconscious patterning, and we're trained to be that way. It's called habituation. It becomes our habit to defer, to be demure, and to be compliant with what? The dominant frequency. And the dominant frequency is usually dominating, and dominating not in a good way, but to manipulate, to have predatory, in other words, to get you to do what they want you to do and to zip about it with no sense of if it's right for you or you want to do it or what the cost is. And so this has been going on forever and ever and ever and ever. And so these are the structures of the social systems that Christ said. There was a wonderful spiritual teacher, her name was Glenda Green. She makes beautiful oils, and I still have them. And I must say she's magical, because I've used her Christ essence in so many rituals and putting it on people and sharing it. The bottle never goes down. It always stays completely full. And I just think that that's a metaphor for Glenda Green. And she wrote a book, Jesus Speaks. Now, I grew up kind of being like, oh, Jesus, personal savior, all this and that. Christ and Buddha held hugely expansive fields of truth. It wasn't until mankind got a hold of it and wrote it down. But one of the greatest teachings that Jesus talked about was deconstructing structures that control and limit human, natural sharing of love. And sharing of love makes people safe. It makes things sustainable, because you want there to be more food, and you use your intelligence to share it and grow it in such a way. So by breaking down the larger selfish, manipulative corporate ideology, which is of a masculine mind, catch the deer ideology, that needs to be softened. The structures. Well, the structures were very strong in Christ's time and in Buddha's time. I mean, they killed him, and I'm sure Buddha didn't have the following that he has now. But absolute truth has a way of being timeless. So if you're listening to this, hopefully we're talking about absolute truths a lot of the time. But sometimes you feel like a martyr. You feel like you're going to be crucified. You feel like, oh my God, I've broken a structure, or I pushed up against a structure. And so many times this week, it's brought right in my face. Someone told me in the morning, I was talking to someone, they said, you can't talk about that in the morning. I said, oh yeah, is there a certain time to talk about things, certain things? Well, you can't talk about it in the morning. And I said, funny, my husband used to say I couldn't talk about it in the morning, in the evening, or finally during the day. Anything with any depth or profound meaning. So when this person said you can't talk about it in the morning, it just triggered of, when can you say the truth? Well, if we wait till people are ready, nothing will change. People's outer personalities, they want those structures because it's a false safety, it's a conformity. But their soul is longing, it's sending out little magnetic rays, hoping that you feel confident and strong enough and have the courage to go in and connect their soul to the truth, because that is a higher vibration. And suddenly that trusting feeling of, oh my God, someone said the truth. It's just like that little girl who everybody agreed to go with the emperor's, it was just a big ruse that the emperor had this gorgeous outfit on, and the whole thing was a joke because it was just people covering their assets, you might say, that everyone had to agree to it or off with the head. And little girl said, but he's naked, the king's naked. We need to be innocent children now. We need to say the truth. And you will see at to what level people are adhered and attached to their structures. And they might be annoyed, and they might be ruffled, and they might it might change friendships, as a matter of fact. But who wants to live in a false world, of false structures that are keeping people imprisoned? Then I pasted something on Facebook, and I said, this is just for conversation. Look at this and this, look at this. I posted this. And a dear friend, she's an awakened person, said, this is dark, you should take it down. So back to posting pictures of puppy dogs. Okay, all right. Well, that's where we are. In fact, we're so politicized and so politically correct that we've gotten rid of everybody in our social media that doesn't agree with us. And that so that people are surprised when you have a little blip that you are knocking on the door, their structure, and they have the nerve, the confidence to say, take this down, because to me, this is not cozy and comfortable. We're not in a cozy, comfortable time. So when I do these meditations, usually it's what is up for me. And right now I'm laying down a dissertation of why women are afraid to speak their truth and how they can overcome it. And I designed this process called voice release. But I'm looking at all the different ways that our voices have been squelched, and then the interesting ways that traditional psychology, psychiatry, pharmacology, all think that it's vibrational. Everything is vibration. And that's why we do the be the light meditations, because we're learning to harness vibration. So you might think, well, who am I as a light worker to have this voice to speak up? Well, because if you're here and you're a light worker, and I often say, We're visitors. You have an enlightenment. You have a channel, a telephone line that you've chosen to access truth beyond the structure. So what good would that truth be if you're just sitting there looking around saying, man, it really sucks? Find ways to share the truth that are gentle and kind and compassionate, not enraged. In fact, it's hard for me not to get enraged the more study I do on this. But who are you? You are a child of God. And I'm going to tell you a little story before I do this reading. And often I get a picture of what to bring or what to read. This is, I remember, Union Flow Avia Magdalena. And you probably heard this story before, but I was deep in meditation. And you just know when it's real, when you're having like an experience. And in this meditation, I'm walking on the beach, just like this visual here. I'm walking on the beach on the sandy side. And there's a person walking with me, the cloak with the hood on it, benevolent person, because I'm asking this intelligent person spiritual questions. The minute I have the question, though, I hear the answer. It's like transmitted to me. And so finally, I'm like, well, I am not using conversations. This is like, etheric communication. And I said, who are you? And the being looked at me, and it was Christ. And he put down the hood, and I got down on my knees, and I said, oh my goodness, Jesus Christ, like in church, I'm a Catholic girl, the whole thing. You're the man. You're the main teacher of all this. And he got down on his knees. He said, don't you get it? We're equals. We're both children of God. And I said, so, hey, that's kind of true. He's not here right now. I'm not sure. Someone's got a computer buzz there. He visits a lot of us, but let me see. Is that part of my computer system? Hold on. Okay. I didn't think I had any alarms. All right. Okay. So we're going to drop into the meditation in a minute, but I want to elevate you to your platform as a messenger and as a teacher with a certificate. Because if Christ got on his knees, he's saying, you're the messenger now. You're the voice. You're the ground team. You have eyes to see people and to send love. You have hands to create things, a beauty, and to touch people. You have a voice to speak or sing. You have a body to create the geometrics, the beauty of dancing, and to bring the divine principles onto earth. And so he was here as a person, as Mary Magdalene, Buddha, all the avatars, and they're up there, and they're not attached to the structure. So we have this telephone line, and they're helping us be free of structure. Why? Because it will have a high vibration, and high vibration naturally dominates. And we can shed a high vibration, and wherever we go, people are lifted. So here's the one I chose, and it's going to be a surprise to me. I haven't read this section for a long time. I was walking in the desert, following Christ. Now remember, don't think it was Jesus Christ way above us. It's Christ consciousness. He held a vibrational field of God, okay? And that's what we're working on. So we want to work with people who've already done that, in a body or not. He's over 1,000 hertz, okay? When he comes and we have him with us and we're walking with him, we're over 1,000 hertz. No wonder I didn't need to talk. We're in the etheric. I was following Christ, but I was leading him at the same time. Do you see the theme here? We're equals. We're all leading. If we're attached to God's truth, we're all equal. No power over. My feet ached with the heat and the distance. It seemed so far, as if we walked forever. The mountain shimmered in the heat of the day, beacons of power surrounding us, beckoning us to hurry. We knew the importance of this moment in time. Much rested on it. The future, as humans would know it, rested on this moment. Oh, now I'm really getting excited. It was his first sermon and world address, and would address all the people. Oh my God, he probably has speaking anxiety. Not sure how it'll be received. All of them, and give them what? Faith. And faith is the only thing that overcomes fear, says the scientist Don Estes. They would follow him in earnest, and all the prophecies would then be true, for he would fulfill them. Think about it. If he was afraid to give his message and never did those sermons and never did those simple little miracles in his high vibration, think of all the people that wouldn't have faith. We wouldn't understand Christ consciousness unless he had the courage to do this. So here we are, we're walking with him on his first speech. He was not feeling ready, did not know what to say. Now that rings the bell. Who's ready to lead in spiritual truths? And yet I knew the words, for I could reach into the future and I could hear them as yet unspoken. Think about it. If they're God's words coming through us, there's no reason to be anxious, and they go across time and space. These are timeless, faith-filled communications, forming on the brink of eternity and resounding through the halls of time. They were part of the records called the Sermon on the Mount, a turning point for all people. Now, Caroline Corey, she's a vibrational spiritualist visionary. She said that Christ was one of the major contemplative connected with Source, who implanted the highest vibrational milieu on earth that made it possible 2,000 years later for it to be in enough people's DNA and presence and circuit boards that we could overturn the planet. So what does that say? You're like Jesus. You're a follower, but you're exactly equal and like him. So nothing would be the same. And as we walked, the earth crumbled and gave way under our feet, as if knowing it must move and yield to the new way. I was in my body and his at the same time. I knew his thoughts, his fears, his misgivings. He did not feel ready. I bet you don't feel ready. I've seen in my future, I'm going to be a minister in a church. Do I feel ready? No, but I'll do it. I'll stand there. I have the vision where they give me the microphone and say, Jan, this is your church. We created this for you. Welcome. This is your home to do these meditations. The mission was clear, the delivery uncertain. As we walked as if through time to find the path to the word that would manifest the truth in this time and place, I began to project the words onto his consciousness to form a bridge with the people and the words and the dance, which would bring them home. We merged as we walked, as if we were alone, one person. The people were waiting and following at the same time, and yet we were alone, he and I. The forces of all time and space merged into the unity of this moment with us. And the people felt it and began to crowd around as we walked. I stayed with the hologram of time, seeing all the points and not belonging to any of them. See? They had to still their mind. They had to go to the 0 point to hear the messages. If you're in fear or the din, you can't hear the messages. Actually, you have to drop to the still point with no alpha, beta, theta brainwaves and go horizontally and let go, and up you go to galactic and universal communications. That's a physics fact. The people walked between us. Christ took the lead as we walked, and I stayed behind. When we came to the mountain, he stopped suddenly, sensing the place of power from which he would speak. I saw a shudder run through his body. Then he straightened himself. The people felt his presence growing, and they stopped walking and they waited. People, when they feel that you're ready to deliver your message, they will wait in expectancy. Do you hear that? You must fill yourself with the divine light in the messaging so they feel the readiness for them to stop thinking and talking to hear it. I felt the angels, the beings of light. Yes, we call in our spirit guides. The kingdom lent him the power and presence through the fiber of being. A magnitude grew around him, and the people felt it. They prepared to listen, knowing before he even began the importance of this moment. The light which he brought was pure, clear, wise, and all-seeing. In the desert, he had unified with his knowing, and now he stood before the people, whole, love streaming from his heart, his soul shining the light of its becoming onto the earth. They awaited grace. They longed for divinity. People are waiting, their souls are waiting for your pure voice of truth. In human form, he could speak to them as the Son of God. You're in human form. He's not. He needs you to carry on the work that he and Mary Magdalene and the other disciples began. And he told them that they were the same as he. And I rejoice that it is so. So who gave him the faith, the inspiration? The feminine. That was Mary Magdalene narrating that story. The masculine knows there's action, there's a job to do, but that's electric energy, communication, catch the deer. The masculine needs to be softened by the feminine, which is spirit energy. Spirit energy softens and holds all that is in a cradle, comforting inclusivity of communion. So it takes the masculine and the feminine. I almost want to say behind every great man is a woman. And Einstein's wife did most of the mathematical calculations, just so you know. This has been rampant. But the two together, and what we're talking about now is as a messenger. The part of you, the intuitive part that brings in these messages, okay? And then that wanting to deliver them and knowing it's your job, that's your masculine part, your backbone, your caregiving and service. And then your feminine part surrounds you with the magnetics, electric, masculine, feminine, magnetic. And here you have electric is vertical, magnetic is horizontal. And here you have, when you are perfectly, I guess what I'm saying is Christ needed Magdalene's spiritual energy there, encouraging and softening and bringing the spiritual so the two together could alchemize so that the voice of God could come through. So these days we know it doesn't matter gender. In each of us, we invite, as light workers and messengers, the ability to access absolute truth, to still our mind and become this cross. And this cross, the cross is crucifying time and space. In the middle of the cross is your heart, and the heart is the still point of receivership of the divine messaging. So Christ was holding that masculine and then the feminine together. Christ honored women in so many ways. And some say that he and Mary actually had a child. It's hard to tease it all out, but there's some pretty good scriptural interesting information to look like that perhaps there were children, and metaphorically we're all children of source. And imagine that we are continuing what our parents, if they're the first ones to really bring the full voice of source here, we're daughters and sons of Magdalene and Christ, who by bringing together the masculine and feminine were successful in bringing forth the voice of God. So I'm saying you don't need a partner to do this messaging. It's about receiving the messages, stilling our minds, bringing in the spirit guides, bringing in the high vibrational spirit, letting our heart be still, and hearing the words that then we can repeat to the best of our ability. And I know it works because sometimes when I'm speaking, I say words I don't even know. I see a word and it's crazy, my pronunciation, and I don't understand it, but who am I to question? Okay, so let's drop into our meditation now, and let's ask and intend. We're going to guide it. Ask and intend to receive guidance on the type of messenger you are. What is your realm of decoding the truth and how to communicate it in the world today? I almost said, so you feel safe. No, you might not feel safe. You might feel other people's pushback, and you might have your own apprehension of imagining that they're going to push back or marginalize you, or perhaps another lifetime of intercellular memory when it wasn't quite so comfortable to speak the truth. But we're going to strengthen our idea of what our role is as a messenger in this meditation. All right. Take a deep breath through your nose and out through your mouth. We ask and intend to set a sacred space. We place a beautiful holon of balance over our body. It is a geometric structure that automatically separates you from everything else, but you are part of the absolute precise geometric structure of all that is. In other words, you're out of the man-made structures of thought and rules and contempt, etc. There is nothing to resist in this moment. You are safe. You are just you. We ask and intend to remove everyone else's energy from this structure. I call it Tom Kenyon designed it as a holon of balance. It's an octahedron. Remove everyone else's energy and notice you feel more present. You feel calmer. You feel more yourself than ever. And it's wonderful. So just feel into that for a moment. And take another deep breath through your nose and out through your mouth. So each of us has a compass in our heart. It shows our true north. And so we are asking to have an experience to answer this question. What is my best messaging form for the truth that is coming through me, the messages from Source and other divine beings, to help reorchestrate first me and the external world into a more benevolent, aligned, harmonic world? So this is the question. We still our minds because we cannot retrieve these answers from the structure. Take your attention to your heart and see that it is an oscillating, fractalating, beautiful prism. And that there is a certain movement and realm that can access this truth easily as you stop thinking. To the degree that you stop thinking and you start sensing and being with this inner heart space, allow the area around your heart to hold a beautiful, clear, coherent, high vibration. Now breathe this light into your heart so that all of your focus is on feeling this high vibration in your heart. And notice you're completely safe not thinking. From this place of fullness, of divine information, allow for something to sort itself out, almost like an algorithm computer system, that the universe is creating for you, like a little Zoltar fortune little ticket, and bring this ticket out of your heart, and there written in plain English is the key to how you can serve the truth of Source easily, joyfully, with all the resources and all the confidence that you will need simply by having the faith in this information. So just spend a moment relaxing and accessing this information now. So if this feels accurate, something that you would like to embody, take a deep breath and let this breath symbolize that your voice, with every breath and who you are, exhale all of that juju, excellent blessing, right on to that little card that holds this information for you. Now imagine that you are taking a breath and this breath is breathing in this card, breathing it into your heart so it becomes living. So you are becoming one. So you become the living word, the living artwork, the living essence of your truest, highest path, your calling, your gifts and your toolkit are very clear. And you are feeling your feet planted firmly in this world, in this body, knowing that your gifts can support the dissolution, the dissolving of all that is mistruth. People may not get it on the first round, the second round, but just as that sermon was the first step into the circle of galvanizing divine messaging, the truth, that's your work now. Embrace it and be it, and just simply allow it. It is your truth. And there's no better time than today. So as we make this commitment together, in your mind, you can repeat after me. I ask and intend to follow this joyful path of serving Earth and her people with my gifts of truth in ways that are sustainable, calming, and bring peace to me and all that I encounter. And so it is. So take a nice deep breath and know that this has been a little graduation, and that you are healed enough, you are enough, and yes, it is you. And you can take little steps. So as all this is integrating, I invite you to put a beautiful golden resilient egg around your entire energy field. Hold this new vibration and new energy in. It's there. And the second part of this is, the first part is to know it. To know it's your divine right, it's your path, you're good enough, you have what it takes, and here you are. But the second part is, and we'll save this till next week, is activating it, doing it through a little project, or picking up the phone. So we'll talk about ways next week on how to work through and dive in and hold this new feeling in real, palpable, active ways in all the layers of your life and activities, but maybe choosing one activity to really materialize and to make it happen in a way that you can check the boxes off of realization of the immensity of making this commitment and then doing it. So we're finished with my talking part of the sharing and meditation. So I'm going to sign off, and you're welcome to stay here and we can have a little discussion. My name is Jan Jorgensen at soundandlighthealingarts.com. And these are the Be the Light meditations, and they're free every Wednesday morning. Just go to my website and you'll find it. Okay.